Okay, now we have our next poet, reader, performer. From Long Island. She came all the way from Ronkonkoma, maybe even further than that, and she's made it. She's here, Barbara Ann Branca. Now, Barbara is a performance poet who has read original works on several national public radio stations and has featured at Cornelia Street Cafe. In fact, she featured here in the 3rd edition of this series back in October 2012. She's read at the Bowery Poetry Club, Greenwich Village Bistro, numerous Long Island libraries and cafes, the Huntington Poetry Barn, George Wallace's venue, the Walt Whitman birthplace, where she took in first place in the Long Island Poetry Collective Super Poem Sunday in 2010. Her work appears in Polarity E! magazine and the upcoming anthology Palmanoke 2. Let's hear a warm welcome for Barbara Ann Branca. I'm very honored that she's joining us for the second time.
I'll probably have to lower that. I'm short Italian. How's that? Can you hear me all right?
Yes. Love your hat.
Oh, thank you. I'm keeping it on because otherwise I have too much hat hair. And I'm not going to actually need that. But I'm going to start off by saying that I think I'm related to you, Anthony. So I'm going to actually start with a Brooklyn immigrant kind of thing, too. But first, I'm going to channel my ancestors. Santa Barbara, Santa Barbara, Santa Barbara, Santa Barbara, Santa Barbara, Santa Barbara, La Luna. So I'm going to start off immediately with messing up my technology. So in my family, it's a lot about matriarchy. So this hits on some of the Pope's ideas about immigration and exploitation of poor people. Raining again in the gray part of the city. A guy walks in front of you, he holds his umbrella up high, and you wonder if he bought it cheap from somebody down on the street, way downtown. It'll go inside out when it's windy. He'll just drop it in the gutter, collapsed, abandoned. Not like the kind the old ladies made in the Flatiron Building where 5th and Broadway cross, where the cops yelled 23 skidoo to the guys who tried to look up girls' skirts when the wind blew across from the old Madison Square Garden. Ladies like my great-grandmother 100 years ago who would take the L back to Canarsie, carry a tin of metal rods and black snaps and colorful taffeta circles, and presto, piece them together into an umbrella and bring it in Monday morning, get paid by the piece. They called it piecework. But it was piecework too, because she worked real hard, 2 jobs, saved money, made her feel peaceful, secure, lived the American dream. She came from Calabria on the Ionian Sea, learned to butcher meat in her father's store over on Jane Street and Hudson. That's why she ate provolone bread. I'm like a rat, she said. She got married off at 14 to an Italian coal miner, went to Pennsylvania having babies one after another, all but 2 died. Baking bread with the ration of flour and salt and sugar, the wives were given to feed their husbands when they came out of the mines with grimy faces and startled looks. The wives would sit on the porches waiting at twilight as exhausted men would stumble down the lane in 2s and 3s, hungry for supper. One night, he didn't come home. There was an accident, and that was all. This was before the United Mine Workers, before the unions, before the firebrand organizers with bushy eyebrows. No, nothing. You have to leave with the clothes on your back, packed up her 2 babies, came back to New York, learned something to do. She made umbrellas piecework. She was 24. She never married again, not even after Mr. Swan asked her 3 times, but she outlived him and the rest of her canasta group. So she taught us kids Rummy 500, and we played for money. She always knew your hand before you did, and when we grew up, we figured out she was nobody's fool ever. And we'd remember how she'd get out the old tin, let us make doll skirts with the taffeta circles, or wear them like rings on all our fingers, there in the kitchen where she made us pizza after beating the dough with powerful fists, letting it rise on the big silver radiator hissing with steam. It was the basement apartment, but it was the warmest place. See, she owned the building. She bought the house on West 9th Street in Bensonhurst. She was the landlady, and the tenants would bang on the pipes for more heat. But she was careful. She was thrifty. She could do the numbers in her head to heat that 3-family house, just how many umbrellas it took. Piecework. So she lived to be 90.
Wow.
And the other day, my own mother celebrated her 90th birthday. So let's hear it for my mother. She's 10. So I grew up in Brooklyn. No, I didn't grow up in Brooklyn. We were in Brooklyn for quite a while, except that we went out to the burbs. And we went out there so I could go to a little school out there, and it was pretty. At the time, I'm like a first wave baby boomer. So the place where I went to kindergarten and first grade out in the burbs is now a facility for, it's a Y, and people do poetry there.
Where is that, Barbara?
It's the Mid-Island Y on Minetta Hill Road in Plainview.
Oh, okay.
And the first time I went there to hear a reading, I said, oh, I'm in the same room where I went to kindergarten in the 50s. So I wrote this poem it's kind of about education, what happens to us. So I'm going to my 50th high school reunion next month. What? What? Okay. So this is called Baby Boom Room. In here, I hear voices of children's past here in the baby boom room, hear kinder overflowing, old woman in the shoe room, see the post-war boom room, now I know my ABC the suburbs grow room, before the sprawl, before the mall room. We drank 2-cent milk out of glass bottles with a picture of a healthy boy bursting his buttons with good health. The dairy was up on the hill. Where's the hill now? Where are the Matinacock Indians now? Run, Indians, run. This room for spacious skies divided in two. We had old-fashioned blab school. The quiet girls learned Dick, Jane, and Sally from newly printed readers. We learned to raise our hands, wait our turn, form a line. But we were dreamers, uncovered truths when we put down our heads for nap time. The art teacher came in with crayons and rough white paper. Draw, children, draw. I couldn't find a purple crayon, so I colored my tulips blue, and Mother laughed for years about those. See Junie and Karen and Joanne from original old dark houses with lots of trees, not like the rest of us in ticky-tacky Levitt ranches and Cape Cods built on potato farms. And then you can see Lynn with her legs crossed like a grown-up. She was always a helper, and now she built houses for Habitat for Humanity. Larry made his millions in real estate. Frank became an engineer, but Bobby got a little messed up in Vietnam. Run, Bobby, run. Caught dealing drugs, served some hard time. Maida was smart as a whip, became a doctor, and discovered drugs to keep us forever young. She lives on a different hill now, overlooking San Francisco Bay. And Patty, she taught me how to snap my fingers, how to play ball. She never threw like a girl, so she went to San Francisco too. She got herself a penis and became Patrick. But we all graduated in paper gowns our grandmothers made and sang Patty Page's big hit, How much is that doggy in the window? The one with the waggly tail. We topped the charts, we wagged our tails, but we didn't chase them. We found our voice here in the baby boom room. okay, I have to get to the next poem, which is over here. So now I'm going to change the scene a little bit. And, okay, here it is. So a few blocks from here, and we're still on this topic of the poor, disenfranchised, and the juxtaposition of where everybody else is. So not too far from here is the pretentious Grand Hotel in Soho. This is called Refugee in the Grand Hotel. Sitting at the Grand Bar, high in the Grand Hotel, Soho, champagne flute, order of divers, scallops, quinoa with foraged mushrooms. There are elegant mirrors. A ginger sits at the end of the bar. He nurses a Kettle One martini. He's gone now. I wonder about him. What's his deal? Or the flirtatious lovely in her turquoise suede heels. The servers in designer backless black. A satin sash strategically placed above the derriere. That night, I dreamed a refugee. Rainbow of humanity, running shoeless, duct tape, broken heels, loudspeaker tower of babbling, hungry wails of children, middens of soiled cloth, wedges of ancient valises. But I had dreamers' wings, catapulting over din and stench, fences wooden and razor wire, to freedom's road, only to find it paved with shards of broken promises. I startle awake in the Grand Hotel, a crack in the elegant mirror. So I started before a little bit about education in the burbs. And I'm part of the state system. I'm a SUNY brat, and I went to college upstate. And this is kind of a reminiscent of being in the dorm up there and seeing Ginsberg and Orlovsky. So this is called Contact High at Dutch Quad. It was a typical institutional New York State constitutional feedlot. Thousands of hungry undergrads queued up for a ration of meatloaf, mac and cheese, iceberg wedge, and beverage. Facsimile cows silently moved at each corner of this cavernous room, plastic udders dispensing an endless stream of white or chocolate, as you please. Sine waves of conversation, clanks of cutlery bouncing off this improbable 3-story ceiling, this modern edifice named for old Dutch families of the capital district of the Empire State. Stuyvesant, Van Rensselaer. Tables for 10, discourse, midterm finals, biology, sociology, psychobabble, long hairs, straights, potheads, queers, nerds, side-ruling tyrant, pocket protection from prom queens, Chi Sigma Theta, Beta Zeta, I am Alpha to your Omega. Give me shelter, give me love, 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 scholarship, Rockefellership, burn your bra, burn your draft card, Vietnam, women's lib, make love, not war. Talk with your intellect full, suppression, repression, succession, we converse the obverse. And through this cacophony of pretension and occasional wisdom, a sea of jeans, flannel shirts, combat boots, tie-dyed soul, something is different. The barometer rises, the oscilloscope flattens, the sea parts. I spot the two of them. First, the iconic bearded one. Oh, holy one, oh, irreverent one, invited to give this evening's howl. He leads with his tray, heads for a drink station, choosing warm juice over the fake giant tit. He looks like the mensch seen on book covers, but almost could be one of those hipper professors trying to wear him like a latter-day tweed. But following him in a wake of admiration, radiating love, anachronistic, atavistic, his companion, a seer, garbed in long embroidered robe, braid down his back, and I'm close enough to catch a whiff of sandalwood the soft tinkle of his temple bells, and a once-in-a-lifetime contact high. Oh yeah, good, perfect. So my other soapbox, and another one of Pope Francis's areas, commentary, is the environment. We're not the first people to mess up the environment. Flash flood. Moonless night, you and me packed into that cobalt blue VW, logging 1,000,000 miles from Chattanooga to Chaco Canyon. The last 20 all dirt roads where jackrabbits, big as ghosts, jump out of the darkness. And then on to Pueblo Bonita, where we spend the night feeling spirits rise from the kivas of the Anasazi, feeling spirits rise from the kivas of the Anasazi. But in the morning, the ranger says, the sky hasn't cried in 7 years, and you better get out of the canyon before the rain comes and slicks up that clay road and no gas till Farmington. Before the rain comes and slicks up that clay road, no gas till Farmington. But came all this way, want one more hour to walk down that ladder, feel the spirit of centuries. Where'd they all go? Why'd they leave their home? Why'd they cut down every tree for this timber roof, now long, long gone? Why'd they cut down every tree for the timber roof, now long, long gone? And he repeats, get out now. And it starts to rain, the first time in 100 moons. And the car starts going back and forth. The gas tank, it's almost empty. And after a while, we see a rise, and on that rise we see sheep, rain staining their woolly coats, rain staining their woolly coats, and above them all, in a multicolored robe, like Joseph, holding his wooden staff like Moses, comes a Navajo shepherd, as calm as you please, and thankful for this rain that has forced us to flee. And he watches as down the arroyo the red clay courses like blood. Flash flood. I'm gonna end something fun. So, but that's in the Southwest. We have problems here in the Northeast. So I'm just gonna end with something really fast. Because you know what? We can't wait till the midnight hour. For that O2 comes tumbling down. We can't wait for the midnight hour, 'cause there's no one else around. I'm gonna tell you now and hold you to do all the things I tell you in the midnight hour. Oh, the midnight hour. You gotta think every time you flush or pour something down the drain, 'cause the algae can grow in a rush from the nitrates in your protein. If you pour something into the ground, it winds up in Long Island Sound. It's the midnight hour. Hey, the midnight hour. So just think about that a little bit. Midnight hour.
So much. Barbara Branca. Let's hear it for Barbara.